Hello there, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me this evening. Hope you've had a great week and looking forward to the weekend just as I am. I've had a great week. It's been busy, but it's been really good. My name is Pauline Limen. I'm the founder of Star Riches Community Initiative. It's a Manchester-based charity. Our mission is to raise aspirations and break the cycle of Black people on the achievement in education, as well as promote the well-being of children and families. And today we're going to be talking about a really important topic, because we're all about promoting the well-being of our children. A child who is not mentally and physically and emotionally okay cannot go out and fulfill their potential. And so we're going to be talking therefore today about bullying. It's anti-bullying week today, from the 13th to the 17th of November. And in schools around the country, work would have been done, workshops, assemblies would have been done on bullying, or companies would have been invited in schools to speak about bullying, to empower children to be able to stand up to bullying. But today I want us to talk about bullying, how it affects your child, how you as a parent can be able to identify whether your child is being bullied or not, because it's important for you to be able to identify the types of bullying so that you can pick it up when your child comes and complains about one thing or the other. Because when parents don't really understand the full range of bullying, or the different types of bullying, sometimes when children come to complain or talk to us about things that are happening, it's easy to shut them down and think, oh, they're just fussy, or they're just complaining again. So we're going to be talking about types of bullying and what you as a parent can do. Now, we can't leave it to schools to do that job on their own. We need to work with the schools, as the schools empower children to be able to stand up and say no to bullying, or to the bullies. As parents, we have our own role to play to be able to ensure that our children are responding appropriately to bullying and to the bullies. So we're going to be talking about bullying. Now let's look at some statistics. Statistics shows that at least 1 in 2 children have suffered from one kind, have been a victim of one form of bullying or the other as they've gone through school. So at least it is a common thing. And NSPCC reveals on your website that 24,000 counseling sessions on Childline were done between 2016 and 2017. Now that is enormous, because for a child to be bullied and for them to pick up their phone and ring Childline for counseling, it shows that it was a serious extent of bullying. When bullying is serious, it gets to that really severe state, then it starts to affect the child and they feel they need counseling. So I think this is a really serious issue, and it's important that we as parents are equipped to be able to support our children effectively, so that, and empower them so that they can stand up to the bullies. Now, what is bullying? Bullying is simply when a person intentionally and repetitively hurts or harms another person or a group of people. So that is what bullying is on about. And it's about an imbalance of power. It's about a child exerting power over someone else. And I think it is not right. No one has the right to exert that kind of influence or power over another person. Everybody has the right to be free. Everybody has the right to think the way they want to think and act the way they want to act, without the fear that someone is going to bully them. So let's look at the types of bullying that children experience in school. So there's verbal bullying, okay? There is physical bullying, there's emotional bullying, where people, a group of children can kind of, say things or do things that are going to emotionally affect someone else. There is social bullying, where a child can be isolated, or, a child can be put in a situation where they are affected socially, things said about them negatively to kind of affect them. And a very, very common one is cyberbullying. Nowadays, our children all have mobile phones on social media, and sometimes, group of children gang up and post negative things about each other on social media, or send negative messages or really annoying messages to each other through their mobile phone. So that is what cyberbullying is. And it is very, very common in our day and age, where children have access to the phones and internet. So how does it actually impact our children? It's a terrible, terrible thing to be able to do to anyone. It impacts their self-esteem. Children suffer from, who are bullied, to a severe extent, start to feel a sense of anxiety. They start to feel a sense of start to feel depression, isolation. They sometimes may actually start to self-harm. And we've watched on the news incidents where children have been bullied to the point where they've committed suicide. We've seen situations where children don't want to go into school. So there's absenteeism there. There is truanting just because they are afraid of someone in school who is bullying them. It eventually has a knock-on effect on a child's academic performance, and sometimes in trying to retaliate, children can become aggressive as well, and then get in trouble with the school. So it is a really, really serious issue, and it's important that we support our children to be able to say no and stand up to bullying. So as a parent, how can you tell that your child is being bullied? I think this is really crucial. Because a lot of times, because parents are so busy, they're so much involved in their businesses, and they're just busy people. It's easy to overlook some of the signs, but it's important as parents not to overlook the changes of mood that our children depict. So how can you tell that your child is bullied? What are some signs to show that your child is being bullied? If your child gets angry after a phone call, maybe they've been speaking to their friends and they get angry, they get anxious, they get frustrated after that phone call, that text message, or that email from a particular person, that could be a sign that it wasn't a very friendly or cordial communication. If your child tells you that they avoid certain places in school, especially unsupervised parts of the school, such as the field or the bathrooms where there's no supervision, then that could be a sign that something is happening in those places. And those are sort of places where bullies stay, okay, because there's no adult supervision. So look out for that. Again, sometimes they don't want to go to school. If a child is very reluctant to go to school, cries, is not excited about going to school, something might be happening that they're not quite opening up to you about. Children could start to feel isolated. So if your child starts to feel isolated, lock themselves up in their bedroom, and they stay on their own, that could be a sign that something might be happening. They may be getting bullied in school. Or if they start to say negative things about themselves, then that could be a sign that they're being bullied. Or sometimes also they may just start to lose friends. We spoke about social bullying, where children gang up against one and just isolate them. That is an example of it. So when they start to say they've lost friends, then that could be a sign that our children or the child is being bullied. So when you pick up these signs, what can you do? What are the things that you can do? It's your responsibility as a parent to be able to ensure that your child is safe, ensure that your child is happy at school. Okay, so what are the things you need to do? Now, the strategies I'm going to share mostly would be around empowering your child to be able to respond appropriately. That is really key, because you won't be with your child wherever they are, but if they know how to respond appropriately, that would be really, really useful to them. Now, the very first thing I would say before we talk about the strategies is to create a free-flowing communication with your child at home, so that your child can be able to open up to you, be able to tell you the things they're going through, the pains they're feeling, and that kind of thing. We need to be able to love our children unconditionally, children that are loved, that feel that they are loved regardless of whatever, unconditionally. They tend not to succumb to bullying. So that is some of our responsibility as parents. And it's important that as parents, as I said before, we're very busy. It can be very easy for us to overlook our children's change in mood, a change of mood, and that kind of thing. So it's important to pay attention to that so that we can step in at the right time before the worst happens, which obviously we're not praying should happen. So when a child when you sense that your child might be going through bullying and they come to talk to you, it's really important first to listen attentively to your child. Now, that is really important. A lot of times, when we hear of instances where children have committed suicide or self-harm or gone into depression, I believe that parents have not been keen to notice these changes in their children, or maybe have not been available to actually talk to the child. So make time to listen to your child without judging, without criticizing, and especially being very, very calm, without exhibiting a very dramatic response, because when you respond in that way, it might shut them down. Or because sometimes when they bully, they're really even afraid of you going in to talk to school about it. So it's important for you to be calm, to just listen and try to understand what actually happened. Then number 2, find out from your child how they feel about it. Okay? They need to be able to express freely how it's affecting them, how they feel about it, and what they've actually done. Have they actually taken any steps to resist the bully? Okay, so that is the second thing that we need to do. Please, if you're joining us, just feel free to add a comment, to share with us, okay, your thoughts. Share with us maybe some strategies that have worked. We're all learning, so please feel free to add that to the chat box. So that is the second thing. The third thing is you need to discuss with your child strategies for stopping the bullying. It's really important that your child is able to do this for themselves, okay? So what are some of the things that we can do to be able to ensure that our children are able to stop the bullying? So you could encourage them to stand up to the bullying, to say no, stop. Okay, you could encourage them to make fun of the teasing. We could teach our children not to be affected, not to let themselves be affected, by any little thing that, someone does to them. And it's reflected at home when among siblings, one person says something and the other gets easily affected. Such a child can easily be affected outside by what people say or do to them. So it's about developing a thick skin, really. So don't let yourself easily be affected by the things that people say or how people tease us. They need to be assertive. They need to really assertively stand against this bullying. They need to avoid the bullying is another strategy, avoid them. So if they usually gather in a certain place, just avoid it. Or you could stand up at the front of the queue. If they go on the bus, maybe sit down at the front of the bus. Just avoiding strategies are really key in helping children to be able to stop the bullying. And you can actually role play some bullying situations so that your child will practice how they can actually respond to bullies. So that is a really, really good one. After you've taught them how to stand up to the bully, then role play it so that you know that they actually know what they have to do. So that's number 3. Number 4, encourage a child to speak to the teacher. It's easy for you to go and speak to the teacher, but I think that we want to be able to empower children to take charge so that if they're not happy with something, they should feel free to approach, trusted adults within the school environment to get help, to get support. So encourage your child to speak to the teacher. Now, if the child comes back and says the teacher didn't do anything about it, then it is your responsibility. You have the right, the duty to ring school, go into school and speak to the teacher about what is happening. Ensure that they are clear about how your child feels about it and discuss what the school is going to do about it. It's the school's responsibility to stop the bullying. School has a responsibility to ensure that children are safe, children are happy within school. Now, number 4, avoid taking matters in your hands. So I won't encourage you to go meet the parent of the child or go meet the child and deal with issues yourself, because you don't really want to take on that responsibility. As I said before, it is a process that children have to learn to be able to assert themselves, to be able to defend themselves, because these are things that they will face in future. So don't confront the child, don't confront the parent. And also, I won't confront the parent because you don't know how the parent will react. Okay, it might be a violent family, you don't know how the family might react, so you really don't want to put yourself in that situation. Okay, we don't know the extent it might get to. Number 6, we want to empower our children to have self-confidence. Usually children who are bullied are children that are vulnerable, that have low self-esteem, that have disabilities and that kind of thing. But we want to empower our children to be confident, to have, a comfortable or a good self-esteem, to have, self-confidence so that they can stand up to the bully. And what can we as parents do? We can help our children to identify their strength, identify their uniqueness. Let's keep saying those positive things to them. Let's keep encouraging them, showing them that's what they are good at, and nurturing it so that their self-confidence can increase. And also, the way we speak to the children sometimes, make them feel small. So a child who feels oppressed, a child who is, if your parenting style is very oppressive, then your child kind of feels defenseless. They haven't learned to be able to speak out at home because they are oppressed. So the things we do at home tend to have a knock-on effect on our children. So it's important that we ensure that our children have a healthy self-esteem. So that's number 6. Number 7, it's important also as parents to ensure that our children are not bullies themselves. So we want to protect our children from bullies. So we want to ensure that our children don't have bullying tendencies, that they are not aggressive, that they are not controlling, that they don't have outbursts of anger, that they don't want to always be domineering. So those are some of the tendencies of a child who out there will want to or might actually bully other children. So we want to ensure that when we pick this up in our children, that we deal with it so that our children are not the ones making other people's lives miserable. And finally, number 8, we want to be able to model confident and assertive behavior. Our children watch us and our children learn from us. If you're the sort of parent that has low self-confidence, you can't speak out, say what you think, or you back down in a situation where you think you're being treated unfairly. That way our children, pick it up that it's okay to just yield to whatever thing they are exposed to. So that is something that we as parents need to watch out against. Avoid as a parent putting yourself down, avoid saying negative things or disempowering words or using disempowering language, about yourself or about your children or about your spouse. It's really, really important because these things, kids pick them up and they start to feel that way as well about themselves. They start to feel small. They start to have low self-esteem. And I said before, mind the way we speak to our children. We are role models to our children, and a lot of the things, our mindset, our reactions, our behaviors, are picked up by our children very easily. So I want to encourage us as parents. It's our responsibility. Again, I said at the start, it's anti-bullying week, and our children would have done workshops or lessons or sessions, assemblies on how to stop bullying, how to identify that they're being bullied. But I think it is our role as parents as well to be able to empower them so that they can respond appropriately to bullying incidents. Now, this is because as they go through adult life, they're going to have, that bullying happens at all levels. So when people are empowered, they can respond appropriately and ensure that they are happy. So we've come to the end of tonight's live stream. If you're watching the replay, please like our page, Taritas Community Initiative. If you haven't liked it yet, please feel free to share if you think it's going to benefit someone you know. Okay, thank you very much for joining us, and until next week, have a wonderful weekend. God bless.